Right. Let's do the old see if it's working thing. Okay. Is it working? Is it working? Is it working? Swore I wasn't going to do that this time. No. Right. Okay. It tells me I'm live now. So I'm going to assume that it's actually working. Totally professional, obviously. So tonight, Lucy from Gloss Nappies here, coming to you to talk about nappy jargon. There's a lot of it about, and we thought we'd do a little jargon buster to kind of get you into the world of cloth nappies. So some of the ones when you're reading pages, because at the moment you can't come out and talk to us at groups, some of the ones that you're going to see that are most confusing are the acronyms. So I thought I'd start there. So you might have seen AIO and you're going, what on earth is an AIO? Okay. And sometimes you might see it written out as all in one. That's what it stands for, all in one. And a nappy that's all in one, when you know what all in one stands for, it's nice and simple because it means everything is joined together. It's all part of one thing and there's nothing separate. So this is an all-in-one nappy. It has a waterproof outer. It has a nice soft inner side that goes next to your baby's bum. It has an insert or a booster. This one's made of microfiber attached to it that tucks inside. And all of it is joined together. So that is an all-in-one nappy. This happens to be a Bambino Mio Solo microfiber all-in-one nappy. Okay, so that's AIO all-in-one. You might then see AI2 all-in-two, or sometimes also called SIO, snap-in-one, and that gives you a bit more clue. A snap-in-one means the bits of the nappy don't fall apart, but they're not actually permanently joined together. They are held together with snaps. So, or poppers, as they are also known. So this is a snap-in one, or an all-in-two, because it's in two parts. This is a tickle tots snap-in one, and it's, sorry, all goes together like that. Now, while I've got the snaps, also called poppers, also called press studs. Okay. Press studs and snaps are kind of generic. Poppers is a brand name, I believe, but we tend to call them that. And this one fastens with Velcro, also known as Applix, which is another brand name, or just hook and loop tape. Okay. We all tend to use Velcro as a generic thing, but Velcro is a brand name. So there you go. So that is all-in-ones, snap-in ones, or all-in-twos, Velcro, Applix, poppers, press stud, snap ones. So next acronym you probably come across is BTP. BTP stands for birth to potty, and what it means is that your nappy, and lost them are, size adjusts to cover most of the range of your baby's life that they will be in nappies, and most of them do it by means of a row of three poppers, press studs, whatever you want to call them, 3 rows of them across the front of the nappy. So when they're scooched down together on their smallest setting, that is the birth end of the spectrum. And I say the birth end because most of them fit from about £10, some of them £12, some of them £9, depends on the brand, and up. If you have a £7 baby, it is highly unlikely that you will manage to get a birth to potty nappy to fit well from birth. The reason, it's like that kind of one size fits all thing, and they're also called one size as well as birth to potty, means the same thing. So one size fits all, one size fits most is kind of more true, isn't it? So birth to potty, it's kind of pretty close to birth, and in some babies it would be birth. My 2 babies were £9.3 and £11.5. So the second one, absolutely damn straight he'd have fit in one of these from birth. The first one had skinnier legs, so he didn't quite. But birth in babies covers a massive range, so they're kind of hedging their bets. So birth to potty, doesn't always fit from birth, but BTP, that's what it stands for. Most of them have adjust with those row of snaps, and you can put it on a middle setting, or you can go for fully open. Commonest problem with fitting with nappies is people make these too big. Trying to keep them as small as you can, as long as you can. That's how you get a better fit, because then you'll snug around the legs. Cloth nappies fit much lower under the belly button in front, right at the top of the bum crease in back, which that lovely bit of elastic on the back grips at the top of the bum nicely and stops getting food explosions up the back. So the fit is a bit different. There's plenty of videos online, and we've linked lots of them before on how to get a good fit. Birth to potty, one size. So while I've got this is a pocket nappy. Okay, this is the Bubba and Boo beautiful pocket nappy. Boosters and inserts. Okay, a pocket nappy is called a pocket because the absorbent bit fits in a pocket in between the two layers. So that's what pocket means. Boosters and inserts. Boosters and inserts are the absorbent bits of your nappy that are not attached necessarily. If they are intended to go inside, then they are called inserts. If they are intended to just lay on the top, they are called boosters. They're the same thing. They're just absorbent bits of fabric that go on or in your nappy to soak up the wee. Okay, some manufacturers call them boosters, some call them inserts. Some people will tell you that inserts are bigger and then boosters are smaller ones that sit on the top. The sizing is different from different brands. So a Charlie Banana insert will be a lot slimmer because they're narrower between the legs than this Bubba and Boo. But boosters inserts, doesn't matter what you call them. They come in a variety of fabrics. So you've got microfiber, which is the least absorbent, fastest to dry. You've got cotton, bamboo. Bamboo and microfiber mix is quite common. Bamboo is way more. Natural fibers are more absorbent, and it goes in the kind of order. Least absorbent is microfiber, then you've got cotton, then you've got bamboo, then you've got hemp. And hemp is amazing. So boosters and inserts. And some of the things they might be made of. Double gusset. While I'm looking at this, Bubba and Boo, double gusset is another one that you might not understand. The gusset is kind of the elastic around the legs. This has got an extra layer of elastic there inside, and it's just better at catching baby poo. So this has a double gusset, and sometimes they're put together slightly differently. So this Bambino Mio wrap here for the Mio Duo also has a double gusset done slightly differently on this wrap. So it's got one layer elastic, two layers of elastic, extra safety layer for catching poo. Gives you a really good fit around the legs. That's another one. Okay, where am I down to on my list? Okay, so I talked about birth to potty, all in one, all the things. Then you have sized nappies. So if you see it as something sort of saying sized nappies, you think, well, what do they mean? Okay, it's got to be some size, hasn't it? Sized nappies means you will need more than one size to fit your baby birth to potty. Commonly, nappy manufacturers split those into 3 sizes. So they'll have size 1, size 2, size 3. Some babies will only need size 1 and size 2. Some will need size 3 as they get bigger. Some manufacturers only split it into 2. It depends. And the exact weight ranges or age ranges that go with that are dependent on manufacturer. So you could kind of probably expect your size 1, this is a size 1 Bambino Mio, to fit up to maybe 5 or 6 months, but again, depends on your baby. They all grow at different rates and depends on how chunky their thighs are. Far more about thigh chunk or thigh squidge, as I like to call it, than it is about actual weight or height. So size 1 might fit up to sort of 5 or 6 months, maybe, depends on your baby. And then a size 2 will fit up to somewhere between sort of a year and 18 months. And then you might, but some babies it might fit up to 2 or past 2. And then you might need a size 3. So again, it depends on manufacturer, and you really just have to check with the one you're using, because there is absolutely no way to give you a definitive answer across the range. While I've got this, there's a wrap. Okay, so a wrap is just the waterproof layer of a nappy. So this would be a two-part system, a two-part nappy system. That means you have an absorbent bit, and then you have this wrap, this waterproof bit that goes over the top. So the other part, the absorbent part, could be either a flat or a fitted. More jargon. So a flat, old school, terry square, that's a flat, and you fold it up to fit your baby's bum. A prefold, which is what would come with this Bambino Mio. A prefold is a piece of cotton, it's quite thin cotton, that has been sewn together in sort of vague size and shape of a tea towel, with 2 layers of cotton on the edges. I think it's 2, might be more, might be 3, and then extra layers in the middle. It's thicker in the middle, so you have thinner edges and thicker in the middle. And a prefold, this is quite old school as well, and you can fold them in all sorts of different ways. The general idea was that you folded them lengthways for boys, so you got a lot of absorbency, and then folded over the front, so you got extra absorbency at the front for boys, and that you folded them widthways for girls, because then all your thicker absorbent bits were in the middle underneath where a girl would do more width. So the idea was that it was versatile like that, and there's all sorts of extra folds you can do with them as well. But that's a prefold, a cotton prefold. Really good nappies. Okay, you do have to, they're slightly more faff than a fitted nappy, but really cheap, really good, effective, easy way to cloth bum a baby. Cloth bumming was one on our jargon list. We didn't even really realise that was jargon, but our boss, Sally, our lovely boss Sally, told us that she'd never actually heard the term cloth bumming until we started using it. So yeah, cloth bumming, using cloth nappies on your baby. Fairly self-explanatory. Another type of flat is a muslin, sometimes known as a muzzy. Slight pet hate here. I really hate when I see people typing out muslin and they'd accidentally type Muslim with an M on the end, because it's just confusing and bonkers. So muslin with an N on the end, please. You can use these as nappies. You might think, oh my gosh, that's so thin. How is that ever going to be a useful nappy? For a newborn, these are great. And you can always use 2 together or fold one around a bamboo booster as they get bigger. But a muslin makes a really nice, firm, flat nappy folded up, not as bulky as a terry square. For a newborn, fits quite neatly under a little wrap to give a brilliant nappy for a newborn. And Kirsty's done a whole video about muzzies and how you can use them for everything, and how to fit them on newborns. So that's great. So you can look that up if you're interested. A fitted nappy is a nappy that fits to your baby. So several of the ones I've already shown you are fitted nappies. This is a fitted 2-part nappy that would go under a wrap. So this is a Tots Box bamboozle stretch. And it's like the others, it's got the elastics and the Velcro or appliques there, and the poppers to change the size, because there's a birth to potty one. But this, the whole of this is the absorbent fabric. This is bamboo terry. So there is no waterproofing in this. The waterproofing comes from, again, a wrap. That's the one that goes with this. That's the Tots Box peanut wrap, and it goes on, and that's your waterproof layer. So a wrap either goes with a fitted 2-part nappy, or it goes with a flat. One or the other. You can also, incidentally, while I've got that, if you've got a wrap and you've got a stack of inserts or boosters or whatever we're calling them, you can totally, this one comes with ones that you can pop it in, peanut pads. So it becomes either a wrap as a 2-part system, or a snap-in, a snap-in one, an all-in 2. But you can use any insert booster, and you can just tuck it under the ends, tuck it under the 2 ends, stick a couple of boosters in there, put it on. Does not have to be the one that comes with that brand. Okay, we totally discourage brand loyalty at the Real Nappy Project. Anything goes, right? Mix and match to your heart's content. Anything you've got left in the drawer. So I've done wraps. Looking down my list so I don't forget anything. Vest extender. That's a good one. A vest extender extends a vest. So it's like a little tiny extra bit of the gusset of a vest with poppers, 3 male poppers on one end and 3 female poppers on the other end. And you just pop it onto one side of their vest underneath, and it just makes it stretch around a bit further round if your cloth nappy is a bit bulky. So it helps you stop getting compression leaks if your vest is quite tight over your nappy, because the cloth nappy can be a little bit bulkier if your baby's nearly going up a size but not quite. These can really, really help stop putting that pressure on the nappy that might give you a compression leak. Another handy accessory, nappy nipper. So instead of a safety pin, nowadays most people would use a nappy nipper. It's sort of stretchy silicone rubber with sharp, grippy plastic claws. And if you put, I'm just going to quickly fold up a flat terry into, quick origami fold here, up in the middle, round, round, round. Ta-da! Here's one I made earlier, or in fact just now, but without the camera pointing at the right place. Then you simply hook the claws of the nappy nipper in to the toweling like that, and it holds. Works better if there's something inside it to actually provide some tension. But yeah, that's a nappy nipper. Other things. So pull, P-U-L, that's another acronym. Polyurethane laminated fabric is its full name. What a joyful name. It's just the stuff that the outers are made of. So it's a layer of polyurethane laminated onto a layer of fabric. And that's why it's called pull. Polyurethane laminated. Microfiber and microfleece while we're on fabrics. So microfiber, both are made of plastic, essentially, often recycled plastic bottles. So microfiber is the thing that the inserts were made of. Quite soft, feels kind of slightly squeaky to me. You quite often get cleaning cloths made of it. So microfiber is what tends to be made into sort of like toweling, micro toweling kind of weave, and that's the absorbent bit. Microfleece is essentially, it's what you would find on the inside of a lot of nappies, and it's fleece, like a fleece blanket or a fleece coat that you would wear. It's just microfleece is thinner, basically, to take up less, to be less bulky. The wonderful thing about fleece is it wicks moisture away from your baby's bum. So it helps the moisture go straight through and into the absorbent layer underneath, and then it will stay there. So you get a kind of stay dry effect next to your baby's bum with fleece. And you can just chop up, if you're going to use liners, just chop up a bit of fleece blanket, fleece from the fabric shop like this, if you want a funky colour. But an IKEA fleece blanket works just as well. And you can use that, and that gives you the same stay dry effect. If you're using a flat or something like that that doesn't have that microfleece liner on, like a pocket, or if you just want the convenience, especially when you're doing those weaning poos, of lifting the poo out more easily that might have got stuck in the nappy and getting it into the loo. So these allow you to do far more kind of shaking and flipping and holding in the flush and flushing off, and those tricks that we do to get rid of, a bit of stretching to get poo to fall off. All those tricks we have to get poo to fall off a liner. Liners are essentially just there for that. They are to catch poo. You do not need them at all in the first 6 months until your baby is on some solids. Then they're useful during the weaning stages, and then you probably don't need them again when your baby's a bit bigger and the poos solidify a bit. This is a disposable one, I think. I don't have the packet for these anymore. They've been in my bag for so long. I think these are the Bambino Mia ones, the wide ones. The top spots ones tend to be narrower. Useful tip. I'm going to be talking about liners on a separate video in a couple of days, but a useful tip on these is if you find them too wide, because they're quite wide, these, and they don't always fit and they sort of scrunch up in your nappy, you can always saw the whole roll in half with a bread knife. We do. So liners, that is liners. A wet bag. A wet bag, it's just like a bag you store your nappies in when they're dirty. So it is made of the same pull, the same polyurethane laminated fabric. I've got a zip on the top or a clip or something to do it up. and it just keeps all the dirt and mess in there, and also the smells quite effectively, so you tend not to get sticks and stains. If you're at home, you can be using a bucket with a lid, if you like, or you can be using a wet bag just hung on your door handle, because nowadays nearly all the modern cloth nappy manufacturers recommend dry paling. So dry paling just means don't soak them. People used to, when we were back on sort of Terry Squares, soak them in a bucket, probably with Milton, for a long time first to sort of sanitize, and then boil them up really hot, and that's how they would wash them. There is absolutely no need to soak modern cloth nappies, and in fact, if you do that, you will damage the pull fabric, or you will damage the elastics, and your nappies will not last as long. So we would say absolutely don't be soaking them for days and hours. It's absolutely not necessary. So dry paling, either in a pail, a bucket, or just in a wet bag. So when that is dirty until you're going to wash them. What else have I got on here? I haven't got many things left on my list. I've got wicking down here on my list. So wicking is sort of what happens when moisture creeps up through fabric. I'm going to demonstrate it. Science. So cotton muslin, glass of water, dip just the corner in, only the tiniest bit is in, but the water is creeping up the cotton fabric. Okay, it is wicking. So water, once it gets into fabric, spreads through the fibers and it comes out. So wicking is what can happen if you have a tiny little bit of your baby's vest tucked inside the nappy or something, or touching the inner fabric of the nappy, and it just wicks moisture out. So you think you've got a leak, and you haven't really got a leak. The nappy would fit well on its own, but part of the liner or part of the inside of the nappy is just peeking out, and the moisture is wicking across into the other fabric. So that's wicking. Looking through my list. I think I'm pretty much there. The only one on here I think I mentioned when I was talking about snaps is rise. So if we talk about the rise of a nappy, that is just which of those sizes on a multi-sized, on a birth to potty nappy it is. So the biggest rise is when you've got all the poppers undone. The middle rise, because they tend to have 3, some have 4, but they tend to have 3. The middle rise would be with the poppers that are closest together there, the manfield, done up so that there's one row visible at the bottom and the other 2 are snapped together. And then the smallest rise is with the outside ones poppered together, so the top and the bottom layer, so that the middle layer is completely hidden and all of that excess fabric is tucked up. And when we say tucked up, tuck it upwards. You get a better fit around the legs if the spare fabric in there goes upwards rather than if it's drooping downwards. Okay, so that's on the smallest rise. And like I said, we always recommend you try and keep them on the smallest rise you can for as long as you can, because that's how you get a good fit around the legs. You will know when it's time to move up a rise if you absolutely cannot get the nappy physically round your baby. And if you find that when you take the nappy off, you've got a red mark on your baby's legs, bearing in mind these should be tucked right into the crotch lines, not round the baby's chubby thighs. They should be tucked right up into the knicker line. But if you're getting a red mark that doesn't fade in sort of 15 minutes, then that's going to be too tight and you want to be going up to another size. If you have red marks and you take the nappy off and think, oh, we've got pink marks on there, if they fade fairly quickly, so if when you're you might not have time for 15 minutes of nappy free time every time you change the nappy, but if your baby has bath and by the end of bath time you've got them dried and ready and dressed again, and those pink marks still aren't fading, that's not a sock mark. We call it a sock mark. Just as though, imagine when you take your socks off at the end of the day and it's just sort of created a slight pink ring around your leg. If it's just snug, but it's not digging in and tight and hurting you. So as long as they fade fairly quickly, then they're not a problem. If they stay, then it might be a little bit tight and you might need to go up another rise. That is all of the jargon that I've got on my list. I can't see. I can't see if anybody has made any comments. I don't think I've got any questions so far. So if you have got any more jargon that either you don't know what it means and you'd like us to tell you, or that you think, oh, if only I'd known that when I was starting out, that would have been really useful and I got really confused, drop us a comment below and we can always reply to it as a little message, and we can put together maybe a nice jargon buster of terms for people to refer back to. Thank you very much. Good night.